Motzei Shabbos, November 25th, Avos Sabanim, and a little bit after Avos Sabanim, more on Chanukah. This is with Dovi and Yisrael Zev. So we found out this week so far that we finally found out about the elephants, that the Chashmonaim, the Antiochim actually did come into the war with elephants. It says of Bam Ravu with Pilim Harbe with many elephants, but Hashem put the Giburim into the Chalishim, as we said last week. Okay, now we also mentioned a medrash that Dovi's Rebbe mentioned, Rabbi Goldman in Shir, that the oil from this week's parsha, the oil that Yaakov Avinu used when he poured on top of the stones, the 12 stones, that was the same oil that they found in the Chanukah story. And the reason, I want to suggest the reason, how do we know that? So I think the reason is because we see that from the fact that everything was destroyed in the Chanukah story, so that must mean there was some schusn that we were lacking. There was some, the Rishonim had... Right, so the Rishonim had the ability to do anything. Hashem gave them the ability to break. But then there's one thing that they didn't touch. How could it be? So perhaps Chazal maybe want to say that because this was the one thing that Yaakov Avinu touched, and when he's by a tzaddik, it can never be undone. The Chazal tell us that had Moshe Rabbeinu brought Klal Yisrael into Eretz Yisrael, there never would have been able to be a galus. So, and because anything that tzaddik does cannot be undone. And Moshe Rabbeinu was on such a high level that couldn't have happened. So the fact that Yaakov Avinu did this, and he did it in the Makom HaMikdash.
And Hashem wanted them to be in galus.
Right. Hashem wanted to be able to destroy the Beis HaMikdash, because if it wasn't for destroying the Beis HaMikdash, then Hashem would have had to have destroyed, instead of, Hashem took out his anger on the Beis HaMikdash instead of the Jewish people. So it's good that's one reason. Of course, Yehoshua was also tzaddik, but maybe Moshe Rabbeinu...
the level that, like...
Right.
He was not on the level of, like, Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov,
So,
Moshe Rabbeinu.
right, so Yaakov Avinu, so it must be, if they found oil that wasn't broken into, it must be that the Antiochim, they weren't able to do it. They couldn't do it. How could it be they couldn't do it? It's because this was sealed by a tzaddik. It was sealed by Yaakov Avinu. Now,
And it was used by Yaakov Avinu.
so the other thing we say is that a nace happened, and we were just about to say that this type of a nace, to have oil, which there was enough to last one day, but really it lasted 8 days, it's actually a little bit difficult to detect such a nace. It's not like Kriyas Yamsuf. Like Kriyas Yamsuf, you see right away the sea split. How could the sea split? It must be, it's a miracle. But let's say you have like a cell phone, and you say, listen, this phone's supposed to last for one day, but 8 days, the phone is still going. So you could say, oh, it's a nace, but you could also say, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe somehow it lasted for 8 days.
Because, like, it was charged somehow.
But somehow, either they knew, or so somehow this for sure was an ace, or you could say that you maybe had to have a certain...
Maybe
they knew this was an ace.
oil.
You know what I think happened? What I think happened is, the Gemara says that it took 8 days, exactly 8 days, for them to go and get new oil to come back with Kadosh oil. What I think happened is the very second they came back, the very second they had new oil is the same second that the other fire went out. If it happened like that, so then you see right away, oh, this was Min Shemayim. You see it. If it didn't happen like that, there's always room to, well, I don't know, maybe we forgot how long it takes. Maybe there's a special oil, maybe it really wasn't an ace. But if it happened like that, so you could say, maybe it happened like that. It was it lasted exactly the amount of time that it was supposed to last. So you mamish see the Hashgacha Pratis in it. Plus, we know there was really only enough to last one day. So you put the two together and you know without a doubt this was an ace. However, even with that, that was not enough to establish a holiday of Chanukah. That wasn't enough. And we're about to say a tremendous chiddush over here
Yeah.
that most people don't know. Nobody knows. I don't know why not, but they don't know it. Chanukah actually, the Yontif would only be one day. The fact that it lasted 8 days, the reason why it's 8 days long, is not because the miracle happened 8 days. That was one miracle. But you know why it was
8 days for you to make oil.
Now here the Oracle Shulchan tells us that what really happened. This makes too much sense. What really happened is that they were not able to bring karbanos. Klal Yisrael was not able to bring karbanos the previous sukkahs. Those 8 days they couldn't bring karbanos because the Greeks took over the Beis Hamikdash. So Chazal made up already in their mind the very day that Chazal win the war, we want to have an 8-day period where we could bring karbanos. I don't know if it would be the same as sukkahs. We want to have that for 8 days, but we can't just make an 8-day yontif if the Torah doesn't tell us to make an 8-day yontif. So they didn't know if HaKadosh Baruch Hu was masking to it. They didn't know if Hashem agreed to it. But when this 8-day, okay, go get your pizza. Okay? But when the miracle, this 8-day miracle happened, so the following year they were masakein this 8-day holiday. The 8-day, the reason why there's an 8-day, so it comes out the oil, that miracle, that's not the cause, that's not a siba, that's a simon. That's not the reason why Hanukkah is 8 days. The reason Hanukkah is 8 days is because Sukkot is 8 days. And they were not able to bring karbanos for those 8 days during Sukkot. And Hanukkah was the haskama, that was Hashem telling them, yes, I'm masking. I agree, this is an 8-day holiday. That's the way the Aruch Shulchan says, I believe he says it's the ikr, the main shot. You could learn the other way. Now that people don't learn about this, I don't know, even though it comes straight. We'll see the actual words here. It says here, we'll get to it. It says, okay, well, we'll get to that.
They said that they finished the pizza, but everybody got one piece.
Now, in the Weizen Cheder, you come home with so many midrashim and so much chazal. Maybe you guys actually will learn that. I don't know. But it says, Shechshetaru. Okay, here's the words there. So the nace ended Chaftei Kislev with the war. And there was another nace that was shown to them in Shemaim, that's the 8 days of the oil. Okay. Shaimunach v'chosfel shel Kohen Gadol, lo yabo la'adl l'hadlik yom echad. Nasa bo nace, a nace happened, v'yilakim menu shmona yamim, and the candles stayed lit for 8 days. The Shana Acheres, the following year, they were koiveya, and they made it a yontif of halal and hodah. Now, however, if you look at the Kriyas Torah for Chanukah, you'll see it's all about karbanos, and because karbanos played a major role in this. The halal and the hodah is about the war. The Bir Hadvarim, you'll see all of Al Hanisim, it's about the war. Bir Hadvarim, Shitaru is a mikdash vayu kulam tmei mesim me'amilchama. When they were mitayar the mikdash, and everyone was tummy mace from the milchama. The tummy mace lo yachol l'tarak achar zayin yomim, and a tummy mace is only able to be mitayar only after 7 days. Okay, Dovi. Okay, Tovi, someone has to be listening. One of you has to be listening, okay? I don't care which one's listening, just one of you has to be listening. But tummy mace the yom echad. Okay, so of the Yom Echad, they need 1 day for the Hachana of the Shemen Torah. The Oj Shemen Torah b'richok talid yomim, the Ad sheyelchu v'yevo yavru chasyam. So here's the thing. Why did it, let's forget about the distance. Dovi, why do you need 8 days? Because it's like this. They have to wait 7 days before they're tahor. Okay? And all it takes is 1 day to prepare the oil. So first they have to become tahor, and then they could prepare the oil. There's another pshat too, that it took 4 days travel and 4 days back. But if you learn that pshat, it's almost, there's a little bit of a kasha. Maybe it really should have been 9 days, because you need 1 day to prepare the oil. 4 days there, you get the olives. 4 days back. So now when do you make the oil? Okay, fine, you made the oil in a minute. I don't know. But there's also the pshat that you have to wait 7 days. They go to the mikvah. They do. I guess they go to the mikvah at the end of 7 days. There's also a sprinkling that's done on the 3rd day and the 7th day, and then you need 1 day to prepare the oil. Okay, so now v'lo hayolahem ma'al lahadik be'amenorah v'chol hakarbanos shal tamidim hekrivu. All of the karbanos tamid they were makriv. The carbon sibur doiches atuma. They could bring a carbon tamid because the carbon sibur is doichet tuma. V'lachein therefore gam hayu yichodin lahadik esaneros. Here's another thing that many people don't learn, that actually they could have lit the menorah with tameh oil. So did you know that? You don't need to have tahor oil to light the menorah. So then the question is, well, if you don't need to have tahor oil, then what's the point of the whole thing? Like, okay, big deal. Like, okay, but you don't even need it. So
Hashem wanted to show you his master.
Okay, right. So now the reason why you could bring tameh oil is the carbon sibor is doiche esatuma. V'lachein gam hayu yicholin lahadik esanero sheba benorim mitam zeh the gam hadlachis hamenorah doiche esatuma. The lighting of the candles also is doiche tuma. Kedetani, like we learn in the Brayso, B'Toras Kohanim and Sivur V'Yikra, Parshas Emor. Yaroch es haneros. He would arrange the neros b'fnei Hashem tamid. Tamid means after Shabbos. He did it even on Shabbos. Tamid after Tumah, even when there was Tumah. The word tamid means always. There were no exceptions. The rak Hashemen hayamuchach lihiyos tahor. The lo chutra Tumah b'tzibur rak Tumah. Oh, so 1 second though. It says, but the oil needed to be tahor, meaning they could be tameh. The only thing is the oil needs to be tahor. Okay, the lo chutra Tumah b'tzibur rak Tumas meitz v'lo shay Tumas k'mur. It's, you know what? It could be the oil taki did have to be tahor. The lo chutra Tumah b'tzibur, because they were only master, they only permitted Tumah b'tzibur by Tumas meitz, but not by other Tumah, as is explained in Masechta Pesachim Daf Samech Zayin Amdal. The Hashmenim in the oil nitmu mitumas acheres. The oil was tummy for other reasons. Okay, so I am incorrect on what I said before. I guess they actually did need this. In order to light the menorah, they didn't need to be tahor, but the oil needed to be tahor. All of the olives nitmu ad sheyasigum and mechuvram. All the olives were tamei until they were taken from the olives which were still attached to were growing from the ground. She'em bekablim tuma of a yavru achas yom 8 days passed. V'lachein therefore, geshematzu zeh hapach achasim, when they found this sealed oil, the chosma shel kohen gadol, with the seal of the kohen gadol, meaning it didn't say the seal of Yaakov Avinu, but it said the seal of the kohen gadol. So maybe that means Yaakov Avinu. I don't know. In this
Could be in those days. If Yaakov Avinu was in those days, he would have been a Kohen Gadol.
Oh, hi. Well.
I say that's my
Okay,
shot.
fine. Was resting in depth. Also, and they weren't able to get to it. Because if you don't say that's shot, they would have been metameh, according to Tosfos Shabbos. The Ode, Tosfos in Masechta Shabbos over there. The Ode, and furthermore, the Elohayu Roim, or some if they would have seen it, but Vade Hayu Noltino, so they for sure would have taken it. Shahayu Medam Shesham Avonim Tovos, the Avakodesh Baruch Hu, also Hamnes, Hashem made a nes. So there's another nes here also. The very fact that they didn't get to the oil, the very fact that Shafi Shlo Hayu Rak Liyom Echad, even though there was only enough for 1 day, hadlika mimenu chas lasted 8 days asher shemen tar, until there was tar shemen. V'lachein kavu chas yamim. I think there might have been another nes, is the very fact that there even was a pitcher of oil. Just the fact they found any oil, that was a nes. They won the war, that's one nes. The fact they found a pitcher of oil, that's another nes. The fact that it lasted 8 days, that's another nes. You see,
the winning of the war was two nisim, because first, like, there's a nace that they were more people and we were less. That's one nace.
okay.
They were strong and we were lighter. That's another nace.
Okay, fine. You were right.
So the
Right.
winning
But-
of the war is two nisim.
Okay.
It could be even
maybe
three,
technically. Okay, yeah.
we won the war too.
Now here's the thing, though. You're going to hear all my years in school, and there's always this question. Okay, the question always, which they say then Beis Yosef has 99 answers for. The question is, why is Chanukah 8 days? It should only be 7 days, because they had enough oil to last one day. So really, one day wasn't the nace, 7 days. So if you learn about the Karbanos and Sukkot, the whole question's not a question. Because why is it 8 days? Because Sukkot was 8 days. The whole point of the 8 days was to make up for the Sukkot that they weren't able to have, to bring Karbanos. Not the same Karbanos they would have brought over. So they wanted to make an 8-day holiday from the very beginning. Interestingly enough, by the way, Adam Harishon made an 8-day holiday on December 25th. He made it was called Festival of Lights. The Me'am always talks about it. Adam Harishon did it. And you know why? Because it's like this. I'll tell you why he did it. Think about it. Adam Harishon was he was created around September, right? Or end of August or September. Okay, now, he ate from the Eitz Hadas. Now, what happens is, are the days, what's the longest day of the year? Tell me the longest day of the year.
January.
June 21st, okay? We have the solar year and the lunar. So June 21st, that's the longest day of the year. Right? So throughout the summer, the days are very long, but each day gets a little bit shorter throughout the summer. And what's the shortest day of the year? December 21st. And through the winter, the days are very short, but in the winter, each day is getting a little bit longer. Okay? Okay, now, when Adam Harishon ate from the Eitz Hadas, did the day after he ate from the Eitz Hadas, was that day a little bit shorter, or was that day a little bit longer, or was it the same? It was a little bit shorter. It was a little bit shorter, and the days kept getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And he thought, you know what? Why is this happening? Because he sinned. He did a chait. He ate from the Eitz Hadas, and he thought eventually there's going to be no day at all. Okay? Came December 21st, the day was so short and he thought, this is it. It's getting shorter and shorter. Okay, came December 22nd. Now, technically, the day's a little bit longer, but you can't really tell because it's like 30 seconds longer. By December 25th, he was able to tell, you know what, the days are starting to get longer, and he realized this is just the way the world works. It has nothing to do with him. It has nothing to do with his sin. It's just the way Hashem made the world. So he made an 8-day holiday on December 25th, says the Me'am Lois. It's called the Festival of Lights. And the 25th day of Kislev, we have an 8-day holiday. But
and the 25th day of December, the 9th, the guy Moshe.
I know, there's a lot of different religions that have something in the 25th day of December. And what's interesting is that because Chazal tells anything Adam Harishon did, anything he named, if he named this or that, and he named a cow as a par, and anything he did will last forever. He knew the very essence of what the thing is. So he made that day a festival of lights, so everyone could feel. They don't even know what they're doing, but everyone just all of a sudden feels like creating a light without even knowing about it. So Chazal, on the 25th day of Kislev, that's what they did. Okay, he finds it boring. I don't know. He didn't even listen to 2 words, but so. Okay, now what the Afilgov? Oh, here. He's going to address the Afilgov shenis lo hayerak l'shiva yamim, says the Aruch HaShulchan. Even though the nace was really only 7 days, dal yom echad hayebolad, because they had enough to light for 1 day. Amnam, however, came into shlo nidlok bimenu rak chelik shminis. One way to learn this is that actually, just a little bit of oil, Kevin shlo nidlok bimenu rak chelik shminis. Each day, just 1/8 of the oil burnt. Memela, the nace really, there was a nace even on the first day, says the Beis Yosef. Another teretz is v'yesh shekasav lefi shebitlu mehem mitzvahs mila. The reason why it's 8 days is because the Greeks were mevatel. They wouldn't let us do the mitzvah mila shehi l'shmona yamim. That I don't really 8 days. I don't really understand that. That,
Well,
okay, there's
They
8.
only let us do 8 things. They didn't let us do 8
Right,
things.
some say because they made a Chanukah Sabayis, Shebito Antiochus Arasha, and for some reason that was 8 days. But, listen to this. The emes Kenhu, but the truth is the following. He said this and that, but the truth. What's the truth? That's what you want to know. What's the truth? The emes. The medrash this in the medrash it's brought Shemalechas Mishkan, the malacha of the Mishkan Nigbra b'Chafei, because like back when Klal Yisrael was in the Midbar, the malacha of the Mishkan was finished on Chafei Kislev, but they didn't do a thing. They didn't walk into the Mishkan until Nisan. It was finished.
I remember.
Okay, v'lo chanachu ad Rosh Chodesh Nisan. They didn't dedicate it until the beginning of Nisan. Shabo noldu avos, because Nisan's when the avos were born. The Kodesh Baruch Hu shilim lo b'mei matisyahu, and the Kodesh Baruch Hu paid them back for. So there really should have been a nice party on the 25th day of Kislev back then, but they couldn't do it because they felt they wanted to show respect for the avos, so they waited till Nisan. But there should have been a party then, so Hashem paid them back. V'lachein therefore also kamo Chanukah Mishkan, they made it like a Chanukah Mishkan shayu Shiva Yemei Hamiluim, which is 7 days of a Yom Hashmini Hayagmar His Chalas Avoda b'Mishkan, and on the 8th day was the beginning of the Avoda of the Mishkan through Aaron Ubanov Kimavur B'Torah. V'chein Shlomo HaMelech v'chancho es Beis HaMikdash. It's written b'divrei Hayamim v'yash Shlomo es HaChag Shivas Yamim u'v'Yom Hashmini Atzeres. Ayin Sham L'chein therefore L'zichron Karo Yontiv Zegam Ken Chanukah, from the lashon of Chanukas Hamizbeach, the Chanukas Habayis. The Yesh Bezer Remez Gam L'Yom Chafei Chanu, Chafei they rested. The Otam and other reasons before B'Sever Chashmonai Lefi Sha'idei HaGzerus Batul Az. Okay, so you know what? He's saying the emes. It was not. I thought the emes really was the Karbanos and Sukkos. He's about to say the Karbanos and Sukkos. Maybe he'll say that's the emes too. But so far he brought the different reasons. But he said the emes, the truth is, it's because of a medrash that's brought about the Malachas of Mishkan, that was 8 days. So what I think you could say, okay, let's do the Karbanos, and then I'm going to say Pshan now. Through the Gezeros back then, they were mivato from bringing Karbanos on Sukkos. However, the previous Sukkos, they didn't bring any Karbanos. Over Shmini Atzeres, and on Shmini Atzeres they didn't do it. Therefore, Lezichron Zeh, as a commemoration for this, Asur Shmona Yom Chanukah. They made these 8 days Chanukah. He says as a remembrance for this, but I think we're going to say more than that. When it was shown to them from Shemayim, the nace of the Hadlaka, Haram, it was shown to them also Shaskima al Yadam, the Kodesh Baruch Hu was maskim, La'asos, to make it 8 days. V'zel sha'amr b'Shabbos sham l'shana acheres kabum. This is what it means in Masechet Shabbos, that the following year is when they made it into a Yantif. Koloimer, is it to say Achru Shiro Shemeshami? It's only after they saw Shemeshamia that they saw the whole thing happen, and they realized that Hashem was agreeing. La'asos shmona yamim ayidei Hashem and sha'alehem shadal k'es yamim. Well, the Zichron Hanes haya kavol the hadik near Chanukah k'moshikasav ator. Okay, now apparently, what I learned by the Karbanos is not brought here. Because he's saying, granted he brings in the word Karbanos, but he says the commemoration for that. But I thought it was that they actually brought 8 days worth of Karbanos, like extra Karbanos, to make up for the Sukkos, which they're probably, it says that somewhere. But you could say like this. In Shemayim, the emes is that Hashem wanted them to have an 8-day thing on the Chafei Kislev. That's Shemayim's cheshbon. Over here, you could say the cheshbon is Sukkos. We passed up a Sukkos. So the moment, either way, whether it's Karbanos or not Karbanos, actually, what it's saying is that the Chachamim wanted to make an 8-day holiday the moment we won the war. It doesn't matter if there's oil, no oil, that whole. Chazal wanted to make an 8-day holiday because they missed out on the 8-day holiday of Sukkot. But they were scared to do it. So they made it, but they didn't make it until the following year. And I heard 2 different shatim. One of them is what we just learned. One of them is that they had to wait until after the nace was shown to them, They didn't do it. So you can ask Akasha, why did they wait? They waited till the following year. That seems to say that it's all about the shemen. Because if it was all about Sukkot, they would have done it right away. But what he's saying is no, really it is all about Sukkot, but they weren't sure whether they should make it into a holiday or not. But the Nes was showing that Shemaim is giving its haskama for the 8 days. Another shot was like someone was speaking, and he just said that when you have enough sensitivity, you could feel in the Zman whether this is supposed to be a yontif or not. So they purposely waited till the following year to tell whether they could tell this is a Zman of Kedusha. And they were able to feel that this taka was a Zman of Kedusha, so they established it to be a holiday then. We just have a few paragraphs left,
They're both
but
the same answer because they felt that after that news was shown to them, they felt that Shemayim is.
fine. We're going to skip the next 3 paragraphs. We're going to the final one. But Riboy has Seudah Shemar B'Mehem Heim Seudas Harishos. We eat a little bit more on Chanukah. There's going to be lots of parties in Chanukah. A party at the grandpa's house, a party at this person's house, and that person's house.
But we shouldn't eat too much.
Right, but it's not the same type of obligation as Purim. Purim, you mamash have to eat. The reason is because on Purim, our bodies were saved. Haman wanted to kill us. The Greeks didn't want to kill us. The Greeks just wanted us to stop being Jewish. So we celebrate Hanukkah with our neshama, by singing. And the truth is, in order to be happy, though, you do need to eat a little bit. So we eat a little bit more than usual, but we celebrate it by saying praises, by expressing thanks, and by singing. But Shlo Kavu L'Mishtav Simcha Kippurim. It's not like Purim. It's from the Gezeres Haman Haisa Ala Gufim. Haman made a Gezerah on our guf. Lahashni to destroy, Laharog to kill, La'abein to get us lost, to destroy us. L'chok Tzricha Nesameach HaGuf.
Wait, even if the Greeks did want to kill us, it wasn't like such a strong thing. The king made a gezerah. Okay, they wanted to kill us. Or
Okay,
they
fine.
wanted us to stop being Jewish. But by the Purim story, we're saved from our lives because
There was
the
a day.
king made a gezerah.
Okay, fine. There was a
killed.
specific day we were going to be killed. About Gezeres of Antiochus was just Mavatal Torah mitzvot. The Avshis Garu, even though in truth what the Greeks did is even worse. The Gezerah Haguf. Mikom Makom, nevertheless, sof when all said and done, it's a Gezerah on the Nefesh. L'chak therefore tzrichen l'sameach ha-nefesh b'halal v'todah u'zmiros v'shiros v'tishbachos v'ein l'haguf inyam b'zeh. Mikom Makom yeshomer sheish k'tzas mitzvah l'harbos v'sudos Chara de simcha nevesh shloik tzas gam kim simcha zguf kim musar b'chush v'ol lezecher chanukah samishkan shekavol l'mishal l'simcha. The gam yishlomer. There's one thing we're going to say, and then we're going to go. Okay, now, here's the one thing we're going to say, and I don't know where you went, but but those that play cards, and the game is actually called Kivitzlach, their punishment is great. And in our grade of there is Nitzpash the Neged Saras. Hazeb by Beis Yisrael, where this game has spread into all of the houses of Klal Yisrael like a neged tzaras. This is what was going on in Europe in his time. Oy lanu, woe to us, shalasa b'yameinu, that such things happened in our days. Kach v'kama minei averos, there's so many averos which happened because of this. V'hu rachum yichaper avon Hashem, may He have rachamim, may He give us a kapara. But umishia b'chlosa, the one who has the ability to stop people from doing this, schara mruba, this schar is very great.